We've talked about changing your mental habits, and we're moving along. We're making progress in practical mentalism. We're making progress in reprogramming, teaching you how to reprogram your mind for success, because again, you were born to succeed. You weren't programmed to succeed when you were born. You were programmed to fit in. You were programmed to become part of an existing system that was designed by people you don't even know. It was designed by people that did not have your success in mind. So you have to learn that you have the power within you. As Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. You have to learn how to get what is inside of you already, what you already have, and bring that to fruition so that you can have an abundant life. And that's what we're doing with these changing mental filters, changing mental habits. And now we're going to talk about changing your emotional response habits, because so much of what you do is based not on intellect, it's not based on thinking, it's based on habit, and it's based on an emotional habit, an emotional appeal. In our world today, this world of commercialism, they design an art form. It's a science of how to grab a person's emotion and make them react the way that they want you to react, even though you do have control. So this is probably, emotionally, it's probably the hardest part of mentalism. You have to understand that whatever human emotions get thrown into the mix, all bets are off. Seriously. As mentioned previously in other parts of this presentation, people make up all sorts of rational sounding justifications for the decisions they originally made out of impulse. Imagine that. People make a decision due to some sort of emotional trigger. We talked about those triggers. But when asked about it, they come up with something that sounds reasonable. Well, that's how a lot of people deal with emotions. Most people don't want to admit it, but we all have a trigger. And once we get emotionally triggered, we end up responding in a very, very predictable way. Most successful sales marketing people learn how to identify those triggers, and they manipulate you with those triggers. It's not unusual for people to think that this is just part of who they are. It's too easy to just chalk it up to, that's our personalities, but it's not really all that complicated. What could go wrong? Well, if you let your emotions get the better of you, it's easy to fly off the handle, say things that you'll eventually regret, or worse yet, do something that will harm relationships, harm yourself, or even land you in legal hot water. You can open a can of worms when you choose to let your emotions get the better of you as far as your actions are concerned. You have to learn to pick better emotional responses. That's developing the habits. As mentioned earlier, in this training I'm giving, you can change how you respond to triggers. This is crucial to mentalism. We all have these triggers. You don't have to fly off the handle. You don't have to break down and cry. You don't have to think it's the end of the world. You don't have to feel small, weak, or powerless. There are other emotional responses out there. Given the context, they might be way, way better. The best way to do this is to be intentional about it. You live your life with intention. Ask yourself, what state of mind am I looking for when it comes to my emotional responses? In other words, focus on the outcome instead of getting all caught up in the process. The result, where is it going to end me? Where is it taking me? Instead of the process. Here are some common positive emotional responses to triggers. A sense of being in control. Instead of getting angry and then letting the anger produce a negative chain reaction with the person or people you're upset at, why not focus on getting the trigger you a sense of in my head, and you're the only person level-headed enough to see the big picture. The likelihood of a positive outcome in that particular setting is much higher than if you allowed yourself to get all caught up in the negative emotional state of everybody else. Also, when you get the sense that you are in control, you're able to see the big picture and to identify options that a lot of people would too often overlook or dismiss because they let their emotions take them in a different way. A sense of possibility. Another way you can emotionally respond to these triggers is with a sense of possibility. Instead of automatically feeling that things are hopeless, that there's not much you can do, that you've seen this before, it all leads to heartbreak, failure, and depression, try a sense of possibility. In other words, instead of seeing the door close, look really hard and see what kind of doors and windows the situation opens up. This is not always obvious, but when you focus on achieving the emotional response of getting a sense of possibility, you eventually train yourself to see opportunities that most people are blind to. They're all caught up in the moment. A lot of them let their emotions get the best of them. But here you are, seeing possibilities, and this can lead you to better outcomes. Why? You're exactly the kind of person people want to talk to. Where everybody else sees a win or lose or even a lose-lose situation, you might be the one person who might be able to craft together a win-win situation. And all of a sudden, you become the popular one. A sense of adventure. A lot of people think that whenever they're faced with a challenge, that it's a grim time of trial. They get, well, if your trigger normally provoked depression or a very sobering sense of seriousness, why not swap it out with a sense of adventure? The problem with seeing challenges as a call to focused, quiet, heavy concentration is that it sucks out all the fun out of overcoming the challenge. You have to understand that challenges are simply puzzles. That's why they're there. Can I solve this puzzle? And the reason why a lot of people love playing puzzle games, trivia games, or strategy games is there's a sense of adventure out there. There's a lot that's unknown. There are certain things that you do know, and you're basically left to connect the dots and make sense of what would otherwise be chaotic and a confusing situation. A lot of people automatically run away from this. A lot of people shrink from this. But it is so empowering, and it gives a great empowering feeling when your sense of adventure gets triggered. Instead of automatically shrinking back, you're the first one to roll up your sleeves and try something new. Associate these mental and emotional states with your trigger. It's not going to be easy at first, but the more you do it, the more you can turn the situation around. Instead of certain triggers bringing out the very worst of you, allow these triggers to put you in a state of flow. You pick better emotional responses. You get a sense of being in control because I stayed calm, I stayed focused, and I was able to find solutions. I viewed it as a sense of possibilities, of doors opening instead of doors closing. And I viewed it as a sense of adventure. It's another puzzle that I can solve. You play games That's what you're doing. You're solving problems. You're playing chess, strategies. A lot of people play all kind of games on their little apps and whatnot on their phones, and this is what they're doing. That is life. And that's what can lead us to making better choices by living a life of full intention, by doing and feeling in control, making better decisions, viewing these things as possibilities, allowing them to give us a feeling of adventure in life. Already there. It's already inside of you. It's there. Nobody's drawn attention to it before. They've always told you to look over here, look over there, look up there, look down there. That's when Jesus used that term, the kingdom of God is within you. You see, when he did that, he basically said that they would say, oh, he's over there, he's over there, he's over there. They're looking for a sign. They're looking out, 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 out. That's what they're doing. When you go to a lot of traditional mainstream churches, that's what they're telling you. You got to bow down and reach out, reach out, reach out. Look for help over here. You can't depend on yourself. You're weak, you're a sinner. All these things are being bombarded. You're already beat down. But you are being told something else by that holy book. If you pay attention to those words, Jesus made that exact reference. Someone look over there. Oh, he's there, he's there, he's there. The answer's there, it's there. The answer is already here. Because it is in you. Going to continue this on in a few days. Stay tuned. This is about the 8th or 9th presentation on this subject. I'm going to talk next about changing your reality through changing your actions. These triggers, taking control, change the results. Thank you.